What's up guys, Sean here, and today we're going to talk about battening versus no bullshit. Now normally on this channel I don't cover drama. I don't have any moral objection to covering drama or anything like that. It's just usually when there's YouTube drama, I'm in the camp of who cares? And normally I wouldn't care. Now a lot of you might think that the reason I'm interested in this particular issue is because I consider No BS a friend of this channel, but that's actually not the reason why. I just wanted to disclose that up front so I don't get attacked later for not fucking revealing that. What really got me interested in covering this topic was this episode of Warski Live. Now somewhere in the middle of this stream, Battening, a YouTuber who made a big expose on No BS, actually showed up in the stream to get at no bullshit. And from the moment that he popped in on Warski Live, Battening just had this unearned sense of moral superiority. And since that's typically what I talk about on the channel, this unearned sense of moral superiority, that's why I'm covering this story. However, we won't start with the Warski Live episode. What I do want to start with is Battening's video that he made about No BS. Now, one of the first things that I noticed about Battening's video is that there are 6 people who are credited as helping him make this video. So that means 7 people total participated in the making of this video. Just so you know, I plan to bring up the fact that it took 7 people to make this video several times throughout the course of this video that I'm making now. And to emphasize that I'm hammering home this point, I will try my best to remember to pick up this hammer every time I bring up that point. Battening's video is nearly 40 minutes long, and it doesn't need to be anywhere close to that length, because honestly, he makes very few good points. The valid points that you can take away from this video are, no bullshit isn't very good at debating, no bullshit doesn't handle criticism well, no bullshit blocks people, and no bullshit insults people a lot. That's pretty much it. But the problem is, when you put together a crack team of 7 people, you need to extend the video out to make it look like you are making a more important video than you're actually making. Unfortunately for Battening and his crack team of 7 people, the length of the video actually undercuts even his valid points. For example, no bullshit isn't very good at debating.
Vegan Gains makes legitimate arguments that no bullshit completely fails to counter.
This is just an appeal to social contract. You're not breaking any social contracts with anyone by eating meat, so therefore it's ethical. Well, if you're going to appeal to social contract, then you could use that same thing to justify slavery. If we lived in a society
Wow, you brought up
where
slavery quick, man. Are we like 2 minutes in?
Well, it's a completely valid argument. Like, if you're going to appeal to social
it's not.
contract,
Slavery is not equal to eating meat.
That's besides the point. It's not.
You compared it to eating meat, then it's then it's not.
No, I didn't compare it to eating meat.
No, you fucking dumbass. He's not, nor did he ever compare slavery to eating meat. He's talking about social contracts, and you fail miserably to understand that. The social norm 200 years ago was that slavery was just fine. He could have used a million arguments from other social contracts, but this is one that everybody is familiar with. The fact that you can't separate the understanding of social contracts with a comparison of 2 things is fucking mind-boggling.
Okay, so in this clip, Battening accurately points out that No BS is not following Vegan Gains' logic. He shows another clip from the same debate to show that this isn't the only time Brooks had this problem.
If you're going to say that all suffering is justified because we can't eliminate all suffering, do you think that it is immoral to drive cars because some people are going to end up getting killed by cars?
So you're saying that driving cars is the same as eating food?
No, I'm not. Like,
why are you comparing it?
This guy is a fucking train wreck. Again, no bullshit fails to comprehend a fucking analogy. To not understand Vegan Gains' point here is hard. It's difficult to not understand it. This shows the lack of abstract or symbolic thinking that this motherfucker possesses.
But then this clip actually undercuts his point.
This leads us to arguably the greatest point that no bullshit has ever made.
You choose veganism, there's ways to reduce suffering more than veganism. Why aren't you a freegan?
Freegan?
You eat off the land, you eat people's waste, you eat things that have already died naturally.
Well, that's really still veganism.
No, I mean, technically it is, but it's actually less suffering than veganism. And then if you want to take this to the logical conclusion, I mean, you could just kill yourself. I'm not saying you should kill yourself.
Well, no,
the zero amount of suffering.
This is ridiculous. No, this is ridiculous.
That's right, folks. If you want to eliminate all animal suffering, just fucking kill yourself. I mean, that's the logical next step, right, BS?
You see, that might sound ridiculous, but at this point in the debate between Vegan Gains and No BS, Brooks actually moved him away from a rights-based argument to a reduced suffering argument. So essentially, Vegan Gains was arguing that since veganism harms less animals, it is more ethical. So when Booker T comes at Vegan Gains with the freegan option or the killing yourself option, he's actually taking the principle that killing less animals makes something more ethical to its logical extreme. It's not meant to be an actual suggestion, it's just a point of logic. This whole section is about how No BS couldn't follow logic, but you undercut that point with the last clip that you show.
This shows the lack of abstract or symbolic thinking that this motherfucker possesses.
What's even stupider on your part is that you could have used this same clip to show how No Bullshit has no problem doing a logical exercise in this setting, but can't do it in other settings. In the next part of the video, Battening and his team of 7 people who worked on this video decide to paint No BS as a conservative parody.
In the world of no bullshit, fucking everything is social justice.
And the video that he uses to highlight this is Brooks's video on Spider-Man Homecoming.
Say that he sees social justice everywhere. I'm not really being too hyperbolic. I mean, this fucker actually sees social justice everywhere he turns.
First, let's talk about casting. Pretty much the biggest, most SJW PC thing about this movie. Spider-Man Homecoming features one of the most overly diverse casts in a Marvel movie to date. My only nitpick here would be Peter Parker's love interest. He starts off crushing on Liz, the hot, almost all black chick here.
What is an almost all black chick?
But to pretend that representation in casting has not been a big issue for the left wing in America, have you not heard of the Oscar So White campaigns? Like, what's wrong with you?
The nitpick here would be Peter Parker's love interest. Almost all black chick here.
You see, when watching Battening's video, you might get the impression that the thing that No BS had a problem with was the casting of a half-black actress as Peter's love interest. Well, if you actually let that clip run, you'll figure out that that is exactly the opposite of what he was saying. It's not even that girl being the love interest that bothered him. It's the other love interest, which is played by Zendaya or Zenata or Zeta Project. That's who plays that actress.
My only nitpick here would be Peter Parker's love interest. He starts off crushing on Liz, the hot, almost all black chick here, who's fucking 27 years old in real life. Can you guys believe that? Anyway, that love story doesn't really pan out by the end of the movie, and it appears Zendaya's character is set up to be his next love interest in the next movie or something like that. I mean, the girl says her nickname is MJ at the end. That's gotta mean something if you follow Spider-Man stories at all.
And the problem he had is actually a problem that a lot of people had, is that they made her character named Michelle, but her nickname MJ. So instead of actually going through with it and casting a half-black actress as Mary Jane, they cast her as Michelle, but made her nickname MJ. So what they did in this scenario was actually hedge their bets. If you don't like her, she's not really Mary Jane, and if you do like her, then she's basically Mary Jane. And that's not the only lie by omission in this part of the video. He also left out the clip about the Washington Monument, and you can clearly hear No BS say in that clip that this was like the only element in the film that had some SJW elements into it, but it was funny, so he could forgive it.
Next, we're going to talk about the Washington Monument. There's a particular sequence in the film that takes place there which is hard to ignore. The kids are visiting the monument on a field trip, and one teacher asks Zendaya's character if she wants to go up in the tower with them. She says something along the lines of, "I'm not going to honor a monument that was built by slaves." To which the teacher turns to a guard and says, "That's not true, is it?" And then the guard basically gives him an iffy, maybe kind of hand move, which turns into a good laugh for the movie. Even I thought it was pretty funny, and I used to be a slave owner. And since this is the only big SJW kind of joke I can remember in the movie, I could easily say this film didn't overdo it with the politically correct shit at all. But it also did something most movies fail at miserably. Marvel's new Spider-Man may have actually incorporated social justice elements.
You mean black people?
No, he doesn't mean black people make it SJW.
Now, in his defense, No Bullshit does say that this movie was good, despite having a diverse cast. But a movie can't just be good and have black actors playing roles that were once played by white folk. No. He's got to make an entire fucking video on it and tell you how SJW it was, but that, hey, movies can still be good when they have black actors.
There's a very good chance that the best reveal in the movie would not have worked without the diverse casting in the film. But who cares about facts, right? You only have 7 people working on this video. I guess it's too much to ask for one of you 7 people to have actually gone and seen the movie that he was talking about and figure out that the point he's making about this movie is actually correct. Now, the following clip is another complete misrepresentation and another lie by omission on the part of Battening and the 7 people who worked on this video. I'm actually getting tired of the hammer
On
thing.
to today's topic, something else I don't think anyone is talking about regarding Game of Thrones. The show appears to be going full feminist and slightly SJW. A girl power sort of theme this season is undeniable, and while originally that was the focus of Daenerys' character alone, now it seems like 90% of Westeros is being run by women. But the feminist plotting doesn't end there.
Because women in power can't just be female leaders. No, it's gotta be that feminist propaganda, right, Brooks?
You see, the foundation for the point that No Bullshit is a parody of a conservative YouTuber is the fact that he's seeing SJW stuff where there isn't any SJW stuff. You see, if you go to No Bullshit's original video on Game of Thrones, there's a part that Battening, for some reason, decided not to show you. And that's the part where the showrunners for Game of Thrones talk about how they had to infuse feminism into Game of Thrones once they realized all these women were around the table discussing power.
The exact same information and situation being put forward by a bunch of old grizzled guys with gray beards, it would have been a lot less interesting to have it be Amelia at one end of the table and Diana at the other end of the table. To me, that just is such a breath of fresh air.
And you can hear his negative take on men here.
Because women in power can't just be female leaders. No, it's gotta be that feminist propaganda, right, Brooks?
You're not delusional when you see the 2 showrunners for Game of Thrones saying that this is a feminist scene, and you decide to talk about the feminism in that scene. Seriously, 7 people got together and made this video, and these are the best clips that they could come up with. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking that some of the issues that I brought up are pretty benign. I mean, sure, there's enough of these guys to fill a real-world house, but the fact that they all suck at research doesn't mean that there's any bad intent. Well, at the risk of being labeled a conservative parody, let's think about what they've done so far. They've misconstrued evidence to make No Bullshit seem racist. They've misconstrued evidence to make No Bullshit seem sexist. And now I'm going to show you how they misconstrue evidence to make No Bullshit seem like a Nazi.
I wanted to go over No Bullshit's wonky Holocaust comments from a few weeks ago. No Bullshit tweeted out something about somebody not liking their Holocaust narrative questioned. Then another account, we'll call them Avi, responded saying their grandfather had lost several family members in the Holocaust. Now the response to this should be pretty easy. Most people would either empathize or just ignore it since it really didn't have anything to do with the original tweet. But No Bullshit simply can't resist making a complete ass of himself. He goes on to respond, "My family lost people in the war too. Many did. What's your point?" This guy is a fucking douchebag. I don't even have to comment on the stupidity of this statement. Before I move on, I think it'd be pretty irresponsible of me to mention those comments, but not mention these comments that you made on a stream with Coach Red Pill and Andy Warski. This takes place when you guys are discussing Red Pill Black and her social autopsy website.
Like you were saying, she defended the website and she presented it in that Rubin interview as like, oh, it's just this anti-harassing, anti-bullying thing. You know, obviously we're anti-bullying, right? And Rubin's like, yeah, of course, yeah. Everyone's against harassment. That sounds reasonable. But we all know that the real implications and what that's really about is silencing free speech and doxing people that say Hitler did nothing wrong, which there is a strong argument for.
It's something that sticks out to me.
Now, you can easily claim that this was a joke. That seems to be the go-to response whenever you don't want to be held accountable for something that you said. But as I've shown, this isn't the first time you've said something fucking wonky about the Holocaust.
Yeah, that's right. Included in this video are a couple of tweets and a Dindu joke about Hitler, and all of a sudden, No Bullshit's a Holocaust denier. No Bullshit, Nazi. I'd say all they have to do is have the goal of deplatforming him, and they'd hit all 4 corners of SJW-ness. Oh. Yeah, so it turns out one of the 7 people who worked on this video do want to see No Bullshit get deplatformed. Seriously, guys, I'm going to give you guys the benefit of the doubt and say that most of you would call out these actions if you saw them happen to people that you liked. But why are you going to let them pass when it's somebody that you clearly dislike? And finally, we're going to go to the Hypocrisy chapter, where Battening criticizes No Bullshit for putting sponsored content in a video where he says the left is exploiting the tragedy. According to Battening and the 7 people who worked on this video, that is hypocritical. However, it's not. You see, No BS made a video about the left exploiting a tragedy politically, and profiting off of that video is not exploiting the fucking tragedy.
For instance, you made a video about how leftists are exploiting tragedy. Yet on the video where you say that the left is exploiting tragedy, you yourself are profiting off that very video.
Profit does not equal exploitation. Now, I know a lot of this comes from YouTuber Philip DeFranco, who doesn't run ads on certain videos about tragic topics, but I actually couldn't disagree with that policy more. The idea that you shouldn't get paid when you're covering something important is absolutely ridiculous, because that ends up having the effect of disincentivizing covering important stories. And covering important stories is important because they're important stories, and I've said important like 30 times in this sentence. So I know people will disagree with this, but I think there's no problem with you putting a sponsored ad in your video when YouTube is definitely going to demonetize that video. To me, that makes all the sense in the world.
The video is sponsored content, for fuck's sake. Within the first 30 seconds of the video, on a video about the Las Vegas tragedy, there's a commercial for your sponsor. You then have a 1 minute and 20-second ad smack dab in the middle of the video, concluding with a 45-second ad at the end of the video. Of an 8.5-minute video, 2.5 minutes of it are sponsor plugs.
He talks about the time and basically criticizes No BS because a quarter of his video is advertisement, but in the average news hour, a third of that hour is consumed by commercial breaks. So to me, it's hypocritical to call out YouTubers for embedding ads in videos, but not call out news agencies for embedding ads in their news hours. Especially since when you're watching a YouTube video, you can skip around the ad if you want, which is an option you don't have with cable news. Now, I don't mean to overemphasize this point about embedded ads in videos being perfectly okay no matter what the content of the video is, but when Battening came on Warski's stream, he was basically screaming at him over and over again to tell him how much he got paid for this sponsored content.
You made sponsored content on the Las Vegas shooting. You remember that part? How much money did you make on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
How much money did you make on that?
On what?
How much money did you make off of the sponsored content you made on the Las Vegas shooting? This wasn't an ad. Let's just get that clear. This was not an ad that he put a Pepsi ad in the beginning of his video. He did sponsored content, which is tying the content, which was the Las Vegas shooting, in with the ad that he was selling, which was some fucking VPN service. It was sponsored content, ads embedded within the video. On the Las Vegas shooting, how much money did you make off of it?
It's just funny that you want to know, like,
Answer the fucking question!
I'm sorry, dude, but I don't care about your moral outrage, and I definitely am not going to put up with your unearned sense of moral superiority. In closing, I want to bring up one other point that Battening made on the Warski stream. And that was, when you get criticized, it's your responsibility to watch that criticism and then respond if it's valid. I have clearly laid out a number of misrepresentations in your video that, once again, it took 7 people to make. So since you believe that response to criticism is something that you should do, I expect a response to my points that I made in this video. Look, I don't care how you do it. This is my Twitter. If you just want to tweet me something, that's totally fine. But I do want to see something. Anyway, that's all I really have for you guys today. Thank you so much to my 3 patrons, Mike Barbosa, Louis Cool Dance, and Pepe Loves Trump. If you like this video, then you know exactly what to do if you like this video. If you want other people to do it, you know what to do in that instance too. Why am I telling you this? This has been Sean going over some YouTube drama. Till next time.